All right, we'll start over. Elapsed time, amount of time that has passed from one given time to another given time. You can do it by simply adding and subtracting. But if they are AM, PM, they're different measurements, so we have to convert it to military. We convert to military by adding 12 to any number after 12:59 p.m. So starting with 1 o'clock p.m., we add 12 to give us our military time. So when they asked you for elapsed time, remember, if it's two different measurements, if it's a measurement of AM and a measurement of PM, we have to convert it to military. Always remember that, and you will have no problem doing this. Okay? Here's an example of converting from standard time, 1:15 p.m., add 12, and we get 13:15. And I leave the PM on there, and it shouldn't be on there, but I left it on there so that you understood what it was, in essence. Okay, because it's really 13:15. 13 hours, 15 minutes. That is military time. We don't say AM or PM. Because we don't have a 1:15 anymore PM and a 1:15 AM. We just have a 1:15. And once you have converted to military, then you can simply add and subtract numbers, just like you did yesterday. Okay? So, here is our first sample. How much time... Wow, that was a quick dentist visit. Oh, Cameron. Oh, okay. How much time has elapsed from the time shown on clock A to the time shown on clock B? So clock A says 5:15 p.m. to 7:25 p.m. Anybody want to tell me how you could do this? It's very simple. How would we do it? No one? Subtract what? What order do we subtract? What goes on top, what goes on bottom?
2 hours and 10 minutes.
So we take 7:25 and we subtract from it 5:15. Remember, we subtract our minutes first. 25 minus 15 is 10. And 7 minus 5 is 2. So how many? What is our answer then? 2 hours and 10 minutes. All right. This was simple because we were working with the same measurement. We were both in the PM section. So we simply take the 7:25, subtract the 5:15, and we get 2 hours and 10 minutes. You can list these as 2:10. Okay, because that is the correct way to write that. You do not have to write 2 hours and 10 minutes. If you solely choose to write 2 hours and 10 minutes, completely fine with me. Either way is right. All right, are we ready to move on to a little harder? Bring it on, she says. Okay, here is our difficult sample. How much time has elapsed from the time shown on clock A to the time shown on clock B? Well, first of all, how many of you like these kind of clocks? Okay, how many of you would prefer the digital clock? All right, well, do you get a choice?
No.
Not in life. Sorry, hate to burst your bubble. I guess you get a choice on what sits on your wrist, but you don't get a choice otherwise. So, we have to first tell us what the times are. What is the first time? What is clock A's time? 11:15 a.m. And what is clock B's time? 1:28. Woohoo! Yeah, that's an 8. It's not next to the 5 or the 6, and it's a couple off from the 5, so it would be 8. All right, so if we are working in AM and PM, what is the first thing we have to do? Convert it to what? We have to convert it to military. Do we convert the AM to a military time, or is it already in military time? It's already in military time. So our 1:28 p.m. is really what? 13:28, because we take 1:28 plus 12, and now we can subtract. So what are we subtracting? No. 1328 minus 1115, right? Because we're taking and finding the time in between these two. So 1328 minus 1115, and we get 2:13 or 2 hours and 13 minutes. Pretty simple, right? We're all good? Okay, now, sometimes, like, oh, I don't know, for instance, when you have a job, you're going to use adding. So we just did subtracting because we knew start time and end time, so we had to figure out the time in between. Sometimes we know either a start time or a stop time, and we know how much time in between, and we have to figure out the other. Okay, so we use adding if we know the current time and we know how much time we need. So for instance, I know I start work at 8 o'clock normally, and I know I work 7.5 hours. What time can I get off? That would be the question that they're trying to have you find. Again, if you're AM, PM, you have to use military time. Everyone understand what we're doing and why we'd be doing it?
Yes.
Okay, so here's your sample. The current time is what? Who can tell me? 10:10. You must work for 3 hours and 12 minutes. What time will it be when you're done working? Well, how are you going to get it to begin with? Isn't it not? Is it going to end up military time? Because aren't we going into the PM on this? Yes, because we're adding, right? So what do we do, KDB? What? You don't have to convert anything to military right now because we're working in an AM. Okay, so it's 10:10. Connie, what do you do?
Well, you go where the 2 is, 10. No, wait.
Real simple. Hold on. You guys are trying to make this really hard. I said we're adding. We're adding, right? So we're adding 3 and 12. So why wouldn't we line it up as 10:10 plus 3:12? Right? 10:10 plus 3:12. Because that's how much time we have to spend is 3 hours and 12 minutes. And we're at 10:10. So 10:10 plus 3:12 gives us 13:22, right? That's what we call military time. So what would our standard time then be? What do we have to do?
122.
What do we have to do to get to 122? We have to subtract 12, right? So if we're going from standard to military, we add. If we're going from military to standard, we subtract. So we have 1322 when we add them together. We subtract 12, and our answer is 1:22 p.m. So this whole, oh, I'll just move the clock, and then I'll hope to get it right. A lot of times the moving of the clock causes problems because of that minute part. If we're going by fives, moving of the clock seems pretty easy. Or if we're going by an hour, one whole lap around seems easy. But you start moving that minute thing, it gets a little more difficult. Just add them. So take the time it is now and add the amount of time you have to spend, and you get an answer. If it goes into above 12, right, above 12:59 as your answer, you know you have to subtract 12 to give standard time. So your answer is not 13:22. Your answer is 1:22 p.m. and you have to label it either a.m. or p.m. Because if I worked from 10:10 a.m. to 1:22 a.m., I'd be one tired girl, right? So you better tell me exactly, is it a.m. or is it p.m.? Does that make sense? How many of you think, no problem, can totally do this? Raise your hand if you're okay with this. You think you can do it. All right, then.